Hello and welcome to Health Talk. I'm Dr. Manny. The CDC says 1 in 68 children are on the autism spectrum. Since it affects so many families, why is it so underrepresented in Hollywood? One film aims to change that. Colin Goldman is the writer of Poe, a touching film about a relationship between a father and his autistic son. Colin is joining now us from L.A. Hey, Colin, thank you for being here. Why did you make this movie?
It started out as a personal story for me. I have a son on the autism spectrum, and then I met other people. I met a friend of my wife's who also had a son on the autism spectrum, and his wife had passed away, and he was raising that son on his own, and I thought that was a very unique story. And the more the project got involved, the more we found out there were tons and tons of people in Hollywood and the movie business who had children affected with autism, and that's sort of how it got started.
When you were coming up with this idea, did you get a lot of pushback? I mean, because in Hollywood, a lot of people say, well, we want the film to be commercially successful. Did you get any pushback from that?
Yeah, about 100% pushback, including my agent who told me the movie would never get made. It's not a genre. It's not a horror. It's not a comedy. It's not a Marvel Comics movie. It's a personal story that I think is a personal story that affects millions of people, and that's not the kind of story that Hollywood typically makes. So it's been about 8 to 10 years in the making, and that's what you have to expect when you make a story like this.
What do you hope people will take away from the film?
Well, I think this is a unique angle in that it's a film about a single father taking care of an autistic son, which is something that isn't, even within the autism community, isn't discussed as much as a mother. And I know my wife has done most of the caring for our son with autism. But this is about a single father, and I think it touches all parents. And I think the message of the story really is, when you first find out your son is on the autism spectrum, has autism, it's very overwhelming for a lot of people. And I think it's a lot of that, as you learn through time, is very much ego-based. It's about how you see yourself and how you expected your children would be, and you expect your child to be perfect. And when they're not, in your eyes, perfect, then all of a sudden it's very overwhelming for you. But I think what you learn through time, and I'm sure you've learned as well, is that your definition of happiness is not your child's definition of happiness. And your child is their own person, and even whether they have autism or any other disability or disorder or just out of the mainstream, your child has a different definition of what they want to do with their life, and their special skills and their talents. And we often as society, or even as parents, just foist our own sense of what you should be doing, upon our kids, and that's not what the kids want. And kids with autism are very happy. They have a different type of life than other people, but you shouldn't put yourself in their shoes and say, if I was that person, I'd be unhappy, because I find with my son, he's the happiest person in the entire world. And a lot of things that take me down or bring other people down means nothing to him. He's just joyous in so many things that he does. And I've learned through the time with him and through this movie that's really the special part of letting your child be their own person. And no matter if it's autism or anything else they're dealing with, all kids have to deal with things. What
kind of feedback have you gotten from your peers? I mean, for folks that do not sort of experience having somebody near them with autism, what is the feedback that you get from your peers, especially your Hollywood peers?
It's been tremendous. I mean, it's been so positive. I can't tell you. And you started out this broadcast mentioned the numbers from the CDC. I think everybody now knows somebody, either has someone in their family with autism or knows somebody in the family with autism. So it's probably radically different than it was 10 or 20 years ago. It's a big thing now, and everybody kind of comes out and says, I know somebody and they're affected by it. And if it's not autism, it's another disability that they're dealing with. Families with disabilities now, it's something that affects everybody. So that personal response has been so positive. The film's received standing ovations and really touched a lot of people. And we're working with Autism Speaks and some other organizations, and I hope it really gets that message out there.
You think we're going to see more commercial films with not only about the subject, but involving people with autism?
Yeah, I mean, they did for a while. There was always like the quirky kid who could, it was a secret rocket scientist or was solving codes for the CIA or something like that. I think for a while they just saw autism as this sort of quiet savant type of thing. And, I hope that we see a lot more people that are on the spectrum, various places on the spectrum, and that sort of, as autism is, and see those characters in their real lives with growing up and going to school and having girlfriends or boyfriends and getting married and all these other things that as a generation of this sort of an autism generation, as it grows up, we're dealing with all those life cycles, and I hope that makes its way into Hollywood as well.
People want to know where they can see the film. Where is it?
The film is now, it was just produced, it just finished up early this year. It's in festivals around the country. It just went to Newport and Palm Beach and Arizona. It'll probably be at a festival near you, and then it will be picked up by a distributor. It will be out there. Just keep your eyes out for Poe the movie. They'll see it, and I agree. I think it'll affect a lot of people and change their lives in a way.
Well, listen, thank you for making the film. Thank you for bringing inspiration and showing the beauty that autism is for many people who want to find a reason for why is it happening so frequently, but at the same time want to have a positive attitude in dealing with it. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate the time.
And if you have any health questions, tweet them at Dr. Manny on Fox. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.